Hey everyone, welcome to It's Not Burnout, It's Betrayal, Unpacking the Toll of Toxic Jobs on Black Women. My name is Marissa Price. This channel is a safe space for Black women to be able to share resources, knowledge, lived experience as we collectively realize the systems that we're operating in, how they do not value us, how we have to protect ourselves from harm, um, and just different ways of sharing, right? How we've navigated these experiences so that the isolation doesn't kick in. Because I know, especially during these times, isolating ourselves to as a form of safety, right, is something that I'm still unlearning. And so realizing that you can come into a community like the one here on this channel, please subscribe if you're not already. And the upcoming Job Liberation Virtual Summit for Black Women starting tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, which I'm really excited about. And I'll link it in the chat if you'd like to register. Also in the description section. But yes, being in safe community where we can affirm our experiences that we have had in the job, in the workplace, and in life in general is so incredibly healing, right? Because you realize you're not the only one experiencing this. And also that it's not you, that it is the harmful environment, that it is the place, the organization that is triggered by your light, but it's not you. And then you can preserve and protect and safeguard those parts of yourself. It's so important. But I do see a comment here. Not sure how to sign up. I have never used a link without help. Emily, and hopefully I'm pronouncing your name right. You can register at this link here that's also in the description section if you'd like to attend the summit starting tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern. We have 2 full days, Saturday and Sunday. But yes, I hope that helps. And you can always reach out to us, support at liftingasweclimbconsulting.com if you need help with the link. Okay. So yes, it's not burnout, it's betrayal, right? If you've been feeling burnt out, but deep down you feel like it's something deeper, this video is for you. And so I invite you, if you're here live, please let us know you're here so we can say hello. If you're watching the replay, please comment below so we can learn from each other, our experiences, again, sharing resources, what we've learned, what we've observed to resist self-gaslighting, right? So it's not you, it is the environment. And something I'll be talking about in my talk at the summit, take your power back, own your skills, rebuild your self-worth, which I want to provide a little sneak peek if my computer will let me. Hold on a second. So this is my talk coming up. So you're seeing a sneak peek of my presentation. If you'd like to attend, please register for the summit. But I'm really excited for this talk about how we begin to reclaim the skills that we came into these toxic jobs with, because part of the experience, right, of being in a job that does not value you is feeling like you don't have any skills at all at a certain point and really having to do the work to rebuild and remind yourself, right, that you still have all the skills that you came in with to the job. And in fact, you've been able to acquire new skills, even though the environment was deeply harmful and toxic. Throughout the process of being there and just working, right, with different people, organizations, whatever your job entailed, you've gained additional skills being in that job, even if they don't value them. Okay, they don't value them. You can value them, right? Taking ownership over the skills that you came in with, plus the skills that you've gained being in that work environment, and then knowing that you can take them into whatever environment you want post this experience. Realizing that this is just a chapter in your story, right? And your story will continue after this job. Sometimes when we're in these workplaces, it can feel like this is the only thing that we'll ever do, right? And part of being in the community like the summit is reminding each other, no, right? Our lives are long. There are so many other experiences, so many workplaces, so many opportunities, right, that are going to come your way. This is not the only thing, even though they try to convince us it is. So I'd love for you to attend. There are privacy considerations in place if you want to attend completely anonymously. you can absolutely do that. There are no attendees on camera, so we will not see the summit participants, attendees on camera. It will just be the speakers and April, our wonderful moderator, who will be on camera. And after you register, you can also change your name within the summit platform to one of your choosing. If you want to comment in the chat completely anonymously, we have those privacy considerations in place. Okay, so betrayal, let's get into betrayal. So betrayal is a chronic violation of your boundaries, values, and your humanity, which we see unfortunately so often in these work environments, right? Again, the word chronic, so this is repeated, right? In burnout, the term burnout for me sometimes individualizes a systemic issue, right? If we can tell ourselves that we are burned out, meaning we're exhausted, we don't have the energy to pour into the things that bring us joy, we're kind of removed, right? Dissociated, which I'll talk about. Again, that individualizes what we're experiencing in these systems of oppression, in these organizations, in these work environments that do not value our labor often, right? If you're in a toxic workplace, that seek to underpay us, that seek to tell us, right, that we're workhorses so often. And Jackie Abram talks about that a lot, one of our bonus summit speakers. This is intentional conditioning, right, to convince us that this is just how it's supposed to be, right? And we shouldn't have an issue with it. And I think with the summit, we are pushing back like part of a broader movement of Black women globally, right? Being like, no, this is not what I'm just going to expect day after day. Being harmed, being traumatized, being underpaid. We've heard stories of Black women being physically harmed at work, right? Having hair pulled, things that you would experience, that you would think you would hear in elementary school, middle school, we're experiencing in the workplace, right? So this is not a small issue. And in fact, it's bullying, right? It's abuse. So if you experience this day after day after day, it does a number on your self-esteem, your self-confidence, your self-worth, which is what I'll be speaking about at the summit. How do you rebuild your self-worth after such a traumatic experience? And so many of us have had many toxic work experiences, traumatic work environments that have devalued us. Hey, okay, I'm so glad to hear this. Sorry, I did a lot of clicking and I was able to find out how to enroll on my own. Okay, I'm glad to hear that. Thank you so much. Yes. Wonderful. We look forward to you joining us tonight, starting tonight. 8 p.m. Eastern, we'll be kicking it off with a brief summit kickoff, like 10-minute summit kickoff with Dr. Kamani, a wonderful moderator, April, and I. Then passing it over to Coach Yolanda, who's going to lead us through a guided meditation, which we need at this time, called Internal Freedom First. So really granting yourself permission to seek a life of freedom and liberation, whatever that looks like for you, because it looks different for everyone. And that's another thing about the summit. We're not selling you like a path that you have to be on, because it's literally like what you want your life to look like. Right? So entrepreneurship is not for everyone. A 9-to-5 is not for everyone. We want to provide you with the options to be able to choose for yourself. So often we're not even told that. I know I'm still having to teach myself that I have the autonomy in my life to choose what it's going to look like, what it's going to feel like. Given the ways in which we're socialized, again, that option is off the table for us. That's how it's presented to us, that we don't get to decide that. Someone else in a position of authority gets to tell us what our life is going to look like, and we just have to be okay with it. Right? We can't be upset. We can't be angry. We can't be frustrated that we're not able to express ourselves fully in these environments, that we can't shine without someone being triggered. We just have to kind of suppress, right? And that creates illness, physical illness, spiritual illness, mental illness, when we are suppressing, right, what we're called here to do, because we are socialized to, I don't know, with the message that we're here to make other people's lives easier. right? That we don't have agency, that we don't have autonomy. We just have to be okay with whatever's presented to us. The purpose of the summit is really presenting us with a menu of options of Black women who have done it, who have carved their own path to freedom in the way that they wanted to, right? And then presenting their strategy, their guidance, their advice. How did you do it? Practical tips. So if it resonates with you, you can implement it in your own life. Because so often, right, that information, those options are off limits. They're not given to us or told to us that they're for someone else to do. I know that's the case with freelancing, right? So I have a community, Black women freelancers, which is amazing. If you would like to join, let me see if I got the link in the chat. Black women freelancers. Freelancing has not been presented as an option to Black women. And I have an issue with that, right? Because we have so many skills, so many talents, so many gifts. And why can we not use those to generate income? Just like a lot of other people who enter into freelancing. And it's often, having been in communities with freelancers over the past 2 years and being a freelancer myself, it's often like the self-confidence block. We've been told that this isn't for us. We're not good enough. We don't have enough skills. We don't have the network. In fact, like having studied Black women entrepreneurs, our networks are the strongest, right? So these are a bunch of lies that we're having to sort through. And it's not true, right? We have the skills, we have everything. It's just knowing how to package your skills so that you're able to attract your clientele if this is the route that you want to take. Again, realizing that freelancing entrepreneurship is not for everyone. And I'll never say that, because it's a lot of work. But knowing that if you want to pursue this, that you have everything within you to do it. And the people who try to tell us that it's off limits to us, there's a reason, right? They view us as competition so often. They're triggered. Their insecurity is triggered, right, by our light. During these times, it's like, I can't even pay attention to that. It's like, you be triggered over there. Okay. Hey, Dr. Maya. Yes. Excited for you to join. Yes, Dr. Maya is one of our sponsors at the 2025 Job Liberation Virtual Summit for Black Women. Appreciate you being here. But yes, all of these repeated messages that tell us that we don't belong, that we're not good enough, that we don't have the skills, something I'll be talking about. How to own your skills. Yes, you do. You have so many skills. So many. And part of the reason why it may be difficult, which I'll be talking about the summit too, is you may have dissociated in the environment that you're in. When we are in harmful environments, sometimes our minds, it kind of feels like your mind is kind of floating above your body. You're not even really present in your body because your body's trying to protect you within this very harmful environment, right? So you dissociate from what's actually happening, from the skills that you're exhibiting day in and day out, from the skills that you came in with, from the people that you network with, right? You're dissociated from that. So you think that you don't have a network, you don't have skills, you don't have gifts. And part of really realizing that and sitting with that truth that, yes, you do, you have so many, is coming back into your body, coming back into reality, right? And reminding yourself of your history, of all the things that you've done, the jobs that you've held, the volunteer experiences you've done, the people who asked for your help with tasks. I know that's the case for so many of us. Those are your skills, right? And you can utilize them any way that you see fit. And know the organization, the environment does not own your skills, right? If they paid for training, if they paid for certification, that's a part of your benefit package. That doesn't mean that they own your education, your skill set. You own that, right? So it's portable. You can take that anywhere that you want. Taking ownership over your skills, so important. Yeah, thank you. Honors to be a sponsor would be a great summit. Thank you. Thank you. I do. I do. Thank you. Yes. Yeah. So if you would like to join Black Women Freelancers, which is my wonderful community, supportive community of Black women kind of on this new, and it's not new because freelancing is just utilizing your skills for income, which we've been doing forever. But the term freelancing in the way that it's been off limits to Black women, I have an issue with, right? Because we're the ones often that people seek out for our skills, for our abilities, and then they seek to convince us that we're not skilled. So it's a mind game. So just realizing whatever your pivot looks like, which is the theme of the summit this year, the power of the pivot, whatever that looks like for you, knowing that you have all of these options and it's your choice which direction that you go in. No one's trying to tell you you have to go this path because what worked for someone may not work for another person, may not be someone else's desired path. But knowing that you have the agency and autonomy within your own life to design your own path, right? It's self-determination versus feeling like you just have to follow a path that doesn't fit, that doesn't align in a workplace where you're not valued. And that's being presented as we should just be grateful for that. I think we're challenging that very notion. If it comes with harm, if it comes with being underpaid, being undervalued, being talked over, you can keep it, right? So it's just sitting in that understanding that you have ownership over your skills is so important. So betrayal can show up in the workplace like repeated gaslighting by managers, supervisors, microaggressions that are dismissed. So we begin to gaslight ourselves, something I'll be talking about too. Um, when our legitimate concerns are dismissed in the workplace, especially those of us who are sensitive, right? We will tend to internalize what we experience and begin to question ourselves. Maybe I shouldn't have spoken up. Maybe I should have said that differently. Maybe I was doing too much. No, it's just the environment. It's just the environment and people being triggered by your light constantly, over and over again, right? But if they can convince us that the issue is us, their work is done. Because all of a sudden we begin picking off parts from ourselves that are supposed to be there. So it's realizing that this is an entire strategy that is unfortunately often at play, that Black women are being targeted globally in the same exact ways. So if you can identify a pattern, right, there's a system at play. The pattern of Black women constantly, consistently over time being harmed, being traumatized in the workplace. Yeah, it's enough, right? Enough is enough. Being praised for resilience, but being denied support. So that is how betrayal can show up too, right? So it may not be burnout, it may be deeper betrayal of your humanity. Being praised for being resilient, which is a term that's often thrown around specifically towards Black women, right? You're so resilient, but being denied support that you need because you're a human being, right? Mental health support, spiritual support, community support. Being expected to give without receiving in return. Being expected to be silent in the face of harm. Right? So you may be exhausted not from burnout, but because you're surviving betrayal after betrayal after betrayal, and not just in the workplace, in society in general. So, how betrayal wounds self worth, which again I'll be speaking about. Let me share my sneak peek of my presentation real quick. And it's so beautiful, y'all. Take your power back, own your skills, rebuild your self worth. My summit session sneak peek, and I'll be talking about this tomorrow at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. Take your power back, own your skills, rebuild your self worth. How do you do it? That's what we're going to get into tomorrow at the 2025 Job Liberation Virtual Summit for Black Women. And I'll link it in the chat if you would like to register. Registration is still open. Get back to my notes. And if you're here live, let me know how you're doing. I know there's a lot happening at the same time. So I hope you're doing well. But if you're not, that's okay too. How betrayal wounds self-worth, right? So dissociation, like I mentioned, you go numb to get through the day. So a lot of us are in constant survival mode, right? Just trying to get through day after day after day. And especially being in the US with it being such a work-centric culture, being at work 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 hours a day. If you're dissociating for that time, right, you're probably dissociated from your entire life at that point. So you're removed from what's actually happening, right? You may be emotionally numb, but knowing that you can gradually, because it's going to be a gradual process, but start to feel again. Start to be in your body. There's a session Giovanna will be leading. Reclaiming your breath is so important, right? So many of us are holding our breath, bracing for impact, because these systems that we live in are so brutal, right? They're inhuman. But knowing that you have the power to breathe, it's identifying your points of power, right? While we work to dismantle systems, it's identifying the places where you can take action to preserve yourself. Breath, externalizing what you're experiencing, journaling, voice noting to resist feelings of self-gaslighting can be very, very impactful. Other ways betrayal wounds self-worth, internalized shame. So you question your worth, not the messed up system that we're all trying to survive, right? So you question your worth, again, individualizing, which sometimes is what burnout, like the term burnout, I see that it does. It individualizes a systemic issue, right? If I can say that I'm burnt out, then I'm looking at why am I exhausted? Why am I kind of like, again, individualizing it versus seeing that all of us are experiencing burnout. And so it's clearly not an individual issue, it's a systemic issue that we are operating within systems that do not value our labor, that seek to exploit us, that seek to push us out, make us question our worthiness, constantly achieve, right? There is no end point to this. I think Glenn Mazzini, one of our summit speakers, Rushni Cope, calls it like a hamster wheel. You're constantly on this hamster wheel of trying to achieve more and more and more, thinking that you'll finally get to a place where you're worthy. And the thing is, you were worthy the entire time. So you never get to that destination because it's not even a destination. It's already within you. Yeah. Dr. Maya says, I question my worth all the time in toxic systems due to low self-esteem and insecurity, working on healing. Yeah. And thank you for sharing that. Yeah. That resonates. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we see how these, as you said, toxic systems, like they create these issues that so many of us are experiencing. And so it's not an individual issue. Again, if you can identify a pattern within people's experiences, that means that there's an entire system at play that's creating these outcomes. Right? And yes, I'm working on healing too. Yes. Yeah. Other ways betrayal wounds self worth. So, performance pressure. You become over responsible, you overwork yourself to prove your value, knowing that you were valuable the entire time. Why else would you be here? I've literally had to ask myself that question many times. Why else would I be here if I'm not worthy? And I did a post about this on Substack, thinking about the trees, right? Do the trees question their self worth? Or do they know that they're here to take up space? Right? That they are inherently worthy. Why else would they be here? But we are told that we have to overperform, overwork to prove to people who could never reach our brilliance that we're worthy. Why am I'm proving to you? Right? When you don't have a shred of insight, expertise, qualifications, but yet I am socialized to seek your approval for what I want to do. And it's really coming to a place of, again, self-determination, ownership over your skills, your gifts, your abilities, your talents that they can't hold a candle to. I mean, let's just be honest. So the turning point, what healing or how healing can occur, having a community that validates your experience, so does not gaslight you about what you're experiencing, because so many of us have experienced the exact same thing. Having language to name how you have been harmed. Some of the terms I shared here that I will share tomorrow too during my talk at the summit. Gaslighting, microaggressions, dissociation as an effect of what we're experiencing. So having the language for what we're experiencing can really unlock portals of understanding, right? Oh, so this person was telling me this to make me question my worth because they were triggered by my brilliance. Their insecurity was causing this the entire time. It is not me. I get it, right? And just with that understanding, so many other doors to past experiences can be unlocked. You can revisit those past experiences and really understand what was actually happening, right? They were trying to take your power because you are so powerful, right? And there's a specific target on Black women in the workplace because we come in with the brilliance. We come in with the self-assuredness so often, with the skill set, with the gifts. And people are triggered by that, right? But again, realizing that's not your problem. That's their problem. And what could be possible if you take ownership over those gifts, over your talents, over your skills, over your abilities, and realize that you can take them anywhere that you please. Leaning into agency, into self-determination. So healing can also be achieved by being in spaces where you're able to remember who you were before the world told you who you should be. To be safe, to be loved, to receive external validation and praise, coming back into who you were, often the younger versions of yourself, before the socialization happened, before the conditioning took place, when you knew you were worthy, right? That's so important. And even if you have never experienced that before, knowing that it's within you, if you're drawn to even things like this video, knowing that you have it within you, that you know that you're worthy. Even if no one has validated that for you, you have it within you, right? Because that's why our bodies respond to being harmed. They know we're worthy, right? They react to being disrespected, being undervalued, being underpaid. But we are socialized to suppress, gaslight ourselves, to keep things how they are, right? To keep the order. Um, and who does the order benefit? Who does the order benefit? Hey, Dr. Davia. Yes, let's be honest. We are amazing and brilliant, and they feel threatened. That's it. That's it. Hey, Kiki. Yes, I haven't been active in the Black women freelancers community for a bit, so I'm excited to be able to attend the summit in a few hours. Yay! We look forward to you joining us. And yes, if you're interested in joining Black women freelancers, which is my community of current aspiring Black women on a journey of freelancing, which is just utilizing your skills to generate income at its basic level. Um, and I think that it's different from entrepreneurship, in my opinion, because entrepreneurship is you're seeking to build greater and greater and greater, and there's nothing wrong with that. Freelancing to me is just getting to the building blocks, recognizing that you have skills. You have so many skills. If you comb through your life inventory, all the things that you've done in ways that you can utilize those skills to generate income in various ways, working with clients, digital products, courses, virtual summits, right? By providing people with information, expertise that they're seeking, right? And tapping into your natural gifts, talents, skills, abilities. That's how I view freelancing. And I think I'm going to do a video on my second page, Black Women Freelancers on YouTube, too, about hosting a virtual summit if anyone is interested in doing that, because we have so much knowledge to share. And I feel like it's just a really great platform to be able to invite speakers globally to share on issues and have us have like a community space for us to be able to sit, digest the knowledge, strategize, build in one place. So after the summit, I'm going to be recording a video on that if anyone is interested in that. Yeah, getting back to the topic. So, yes, we need more space, right? More support, strategies to be able to implement some of the ways that healing can occur that I went through. The Job Liberation Virtual Summit for Black Women is one of those ways, which is starting today, actually, 8 p.m. Eastern, with a kickoff session, followed by Coach Yolanda, who is wonderful, brilliant, amazing spiritual life coach, birth doula, Reiki teacher, who will be leading us through a guided meditation. Coach Yolanda, I actually worked with her in the process of healing from a highly traumatic, toxic job experience. And so for her to be speaking at the summit is just, I don't have words for it, right? It's beautiful, full circle. And I'm so excited to hear what she'll be sharing with us tonight, starting, and her session starts at 8:15 Eastern tonight. So yes, let me go back to my notes. So yes, right? So it may be betrayal that you're experiencing, not just burnout, but betrayal of your humanity, of your skills, of what you know to be true. Gaslighting, I have a video idea for this too. Gaslighting as a tool, a tactic of oppression. If you can make someone doubt their own reality, which is self-gaslighting, it can do so much harm, right? Because then the spiral, as I've talked about before, of anxiety, depression, questioning what you see, what you hear, you're questioning your senses essentially. Um, and that can lead to so many severe consequences. And so the gaslighting that we experience in a lot of these institutions, organizations, can really be harmful to our health, right? Mental health, physical health, spiritual health. And it's worth asking yourself, could it be betrayal that I'm experiencing, right? The level of grief versus it being something like burnout, right? So that's the purpose of this video. I think that's all of my notes. I'm going to get back to working on my presentation. But I appreciate y'all for being here. Oh, I love it. I love it. Yes. Please subscribe to Dr. Maya's channel, Fly Like Me, PhD. And Dr. Davia's channel as well. Not All the Things. Yes. I think that's it, y'all. I appreciate you joining me here again. The summit officially kicks off tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern. And I will be speaking tomorrow at 4:30 p.m. Eastern on Take Your Power Back, Own Your Skills, Rebuild Your Self-Worth. If you are interested in hearing my talk, please register for the summit, linked in the chat, in the description section, all over my community tab. And there are privacy considerations in place. So if you want to attend completely anonymously, option to change your name after registering. No attendees will be seen on camera. So those are in place. And yeah, thank you. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all for being here. And yeah, I think that's it. I don't have another live schedule at this moment. I think I'm going to take some time off to decompress after the summit, but I appreciate you being here. If you're watching on the replay, let me know in the comments. And until next time, y'all. Thank you. Bye. Oh, thank you, Dr. Davia. Bye, y'all.